big cars, big houses, big portion sizes at restaurants. Let's talk about this. First, grocery stores, or sometimes we call them supermarkets. It's more common to call them a grocery store, but if you want an overwhelming experience, the next time you visit the US, go into a super Walmart. It's huge, enormous. You can have your eyes checked while you wait for your car to get fixed. You could buy...
No. Wait, you can go to the mechanic, check your eyes, go to the doctor, what the hell? And I know there is Walmart, normal Walmart and super Walmart. They are that different because the normal Walmart is already so massive, you know what I mean? Today I'll be reacting to 9 American stereotypes. Are they true or false? Well friends, I'm kinda excited for this one. Of course I will try to share my European perspective, but before I go into that, let me ask you for one thing. If you can leave a like, thank you so much. Is the best way to show support. Now, if you can subscribe, well, in that case, forget about it. You make my day. Have that in consideration. Link for the original video in my description, and let.
I want you to close your eyes for a second.
Wait,
and
what?
Picture the typical American.
Okay. Well, actually, if this is a game, we are going to do it in the correct way. Let's start with this again.
You to close your eyes for a second and picture the typical American.
Okay.
Are they driving a big truck?
Yeah.
Are they wearing a cowboy hat
In
and
Texas.
an American flag t-shirt?
Possible.
Are they eating McDonald's?
No. Biscuits and gravy.
If they are, then you are thinking of some stereotypes of Americans who live in the US.
Oh, really? So that's not true. Wait, my friends, real talk. Let's just check if this is a true stereotype. Who watching right now have a big pickup truck? If you have, leave me a comment. And I think those stereotypes, apart from the McDonald's one, are kind of true, right? There is a lot of people that are patriotic in America, and that's amazing. There is a lot of people that love to drive big cars, and I love them. So, you know what? I love Americans in general.
Let's talk about if these are true or false.
Okay. Oh, man.
If you haven't opened your eyes yet, please do that.
Okay.
I'm Vanessa from SpeakEnglishWithVanessa.com, an American English speaker. I live here in the US, and today we're going to be talking about some common stereotypes of Americans. When I talk about Americans, I'm talking about the United States of America. I'm just using Americans as shorthand for people who live in the United States and the stereotypes about those people, including me. We're going to take a look at the stereotypes, what the data says about those stereotypes, and then
Oh my god, she brings science into the topic, the data, statistics. Okay, respect.
also my personal opinion. To help you with today's lesson and to remember everything that you've learned, I have created a free PDF worksheet that you can download, print out, put under your pillow as you sleep to help you take your English to the next level and never forget anything from today's lesson. You can download this PDF.
Damn, my Russian English needs some improvement. I feel like maybe I should take a look at some of her videos because she's a teacher or something of English.
With the link in the description. Let's get started with what I think is one of the most common American stereotypes, and that is big everything. Big.
One of the best things in America, my friends. If this stereotype is false, that will be disappointing, but I don't think it's false. Amazing food, and when I say amazing, is big and tastes really good. Amazing cars, again, big, and they drive, from what I understand, also amazing. So this is a good thing.
Stores, big cars, big houses, big portion sizes at restaurants. Let's talk about this. First, grocery stores, or sometimes we call them supermarkets. It's more common to call them a grocery store, but if you want an overwhelming experience, the next time you visit the US, go into a super Walmart. It's huge, enormous. You can have your eyes checked while you wait for your car to get fixed. You could buy...
No, is it... Wait, you can go to the mechanic, check your eyes, go to the doctor. What the hell? in a Walmart. But this thing about Super Walmart, I reacted in back in the day to Walmart videos, and I know there is Walmart, normal Walmart, and Super Walmart. They are that different because the normal Walmart is already so massive. You know what I mean?
Buy a new baby stroller, a microwave, a set of golf clubs, a gun, and choose from hundreds of boxes of breakfast cereal. We call these places a one-stop shop because you can
They are
get everything
amazing.
you need in one convenient location. For me, this kind of place is a bit too overwhelming to go to regularly, but
What? That's so amazing. My friends, this is one of the things I envy the most. Having a place where you can check all the boxes. Okay, all the respect again, but here I have to disagree with that. I mean, I never went to one, so it's also unfair that I'm disagreeing. But at least looking at the idea seems amazing.
this kind of place is a bit too overwhelming to go to regularly, but it is convenient to know that if I need something, there's one place where I can go to get it. What about cars and homes?
No, I mean, of course, there is people that drive small cars and there is people that have small homes or apartments. But in general, let's also be realistic here. Comparing with Europe, kind of big.
Yes, it is true that American cars and homes are typically larger than in other places in the world.
Clap for
Is
America.
it cultural? Is it because we have more space? It's hard to say exactly why, but we've definitely traded the historic, beautiful, but smaller homes in Europe, for example, for not historic, not always so beautiful, but big homes in the US.
Oh my god, I disagree again. Sorry, what is she talking about with all the respect? American homes are so beautiful. Europeans find, and this again is me doing a stereotype of Europeans, but Europeans really love American homes in general. And the historical homes, if a home is historical, is old as, I was about to say a bad word, and this is a family friendly channel. And probably is cold inside. I mean, I live in actually a very modern home right now. I had to save a lot of money for this, and it's one of my biggest achievements. Is that the word in English? See, I'm improving. And I love it. I don't want to live in a old house, even though, of course, I lived back in the day. American homes, whew, I would love to have one.
Cars and homes are typically larger than in other places in the world. Is it cultural? Is it because we have more space? It's hard to say exactly
No, I think the space thing, at least for cars, maybe not, but for houses is 100% one of the reasons. You guys have a lot of land.
why, but we've definitely traded the historic, beautiful, but smaller homes in Europe, for example, for
European here, I don't subscribe to this point. Just want to make this clear.
not historic, not always so beautiful, but big homes in the US.
That house right there, she's saying, no, I know I'm going crazy with this point, but that house right there is looking so sexy to me. Look at that big garage, seems to have a lot of space. Sign me in. No, sign me up. Sign me up, right?
Historic, not always so beautiful, but big homes in the US. As for cars, it's true. Americans have big cars. But everything in the US is so spread out that we spend a lot more time in our cars. And my personal theory is that because people have bigger and bigger cars in the US, it kind of pushes everyone into that direction. For me, I would love to have a small car, but it's dangerous if you are
Well, I give you my small car and you send me your big. But the problem is we have to deal with importation and it will be very expensive. But see, this is fascinating, honestly, because by the way, she speaks amazing. Actually, I'm understanding everything, and sometimes when there is accent involved, is a bit more difficult to me. But her English, I guess, makes sense. Is perfect. But see how people can be different. I'm actually European, and I love a lot of those things that you guys do in America. But she seems to may prefer the European way, so we could switch places, even though I love my country.
You're the only person with a small car on the road. If everyone else has a big truck, a big SUV, a big van, and you're just the only one in a little car, that is very dangerous.
That's nasty.
So a
It's
lot
disgusting,
of people
honestly.
maybe feel some pressure to get a bigger car socially or for safety reasons.
Look, I already feel pressure to buy a bigger car just watching American videos.
All right, let's talk about food now. Portion sizes. If you've ever visited the US and ordered at a restaurant.
Oh my god, so far this video is amazing, my friends. I'm not sure. I guess she's neutral, but if this video was trying to criticize American stereotypes, real talk right now, my friends. This is making looking America so good, actually. I'm gonna ask it, can I get a like for America? Because we go from big portion size, big houses, patriotism, people driving big and amazing cars. What to not like about America?
And maybe you have been shocked at the portion size
In a good
you
way.
get at a restaurant.
In a
In
good
fact,
way,
it's
yeah.
quite common to get what we call a doggy bag. This is a takeout bag.
Doggy. See, Americans sometimes with the names doggy. Why not a cat bag? A doggy bag.
Common to get what we call a doggy bag. This is a takeout bag because you can't finish all of the food on your plate. So it's common to ask the waiter, hey, can I get a doggy bag? Hey, can I get a box to go? And you put the rest of your food in a box and take it to have for lunch the next day. This is really common.
See, this is for me, I have to write this down because when I go to America, I'm so insecure when it comes to my English that I may ask the person, can I have a dog in a bag? You know what I mean? So I actually let me take a photo of this. Sorry, my friends. Just then I will notice. Okay, doggy bag. Because I may ask for a dog in a bag. You know what I mean? And I may get deported from America or something.
Because the portion size is enormous. In fact, take a look at this little graph. It just shows that from the 1950s and 60s, portion size in the US has
It's going up. Man, capitalism is working.
been increasing dramatically.
Thank you.
So overall, yes, things are bigger in the US.
Let's
There could be a
go.
lot of reasons for this. Of course, some places like New York or LA, you're more likely going to be living in a small apartment, but the majority of Americans live outside of those big cities. They live in medium or small size cities around the US. So in
This makes me so happy. If all of a sudden after this she goes, it's not true, I would be like, what the hell? America is not what I expected.
general,
But it is.
big cars, big houses, big stores, and big portion sizes, these things are the norm in the US. Stereotype number 2, Americans are overweight and eat fast food a lot.
Controversial one. I feel like this is a bit tricky because I'm Europeans and you guys think Europeans are all fit and I'm not fit. You know what I mean? So, but maybe because you guys invented fast food is probably the country that eats the most fast food and you guys also have more options. That said, some of the strongest people in terms of being fit that I ever saw, they live in America. So I would say this is maybe false, but in terms of statistics, could be a bit true. I'm not sure.
Unfortunately, this one is true. The
Wait, no explanation. Already went to the true thing.
data says that 2 out of 3 Americans is overweight.
2 out of 3. Well, actually, that's crazy.
And over 1/3 of adults eats fast food every day. Personally, this is not at all like my lifestyle. I try really hard to be healthy, but you know what? The data doesn't lie. 2 out of 3 Americans is overweight. That is what they call an obesity crisis.
Well, to be fair, my friends, I believe a lot of you guys have been, watching my cooking show here. I try American stuff. I feel like I already gained weight. I'm not joking. It's kind of embarrassing, but on the other hand, I feel so happy.
Thankfully, there has been a shift towards somewhat more healthy eating. Even fast food restaurants are trying to have some options like a wrap or a salad as an option. And I think overall we're becoming more and more aware about what it is to be healthy, what kind of foods we should eat, what kind of soft drinks we should avoid, these types of things. But in general,
Avoid Pepsi, my friends. Dr. Pepper and Coca-Cola, you are good.
unfortunately, this stereotype is true that Americans overall are overweight and eat fast food a lot. But I have a question for you. In your country, is going to McDonald's, Subway, or KFC, is this a common experience?
No, because we don't have those options. KFC, actually, there is one here now. But back in the day, there wasn't. Subway, also, not all the places tend to have that. And McDonald's is the one that is very popular. And yeah, when I think a lot of people go there, honestly.
I think that this is kind of expanding to the rest of the world as well. So even though it's true for Americans, might be true for other countries too.
You know what, my friends? I'm going to make a confession here, and this is just for the real fans that are watching. Most people quit at the first 5 minutes. So I actually like Burger King a lot. Am I crazy? Is because I feel like a lot of you guys really talk bad about Burger King, but comparing Burger King with McDonald's, I much prefer Burger King. Is this a hot take to have?
Stereotype number 3. Everyone has a gun.
This is false. I mean, I know this.
What does the data say? Well, this is false. Not everyone has a gun, but the data
a lot of people have guns.
says that 1 in 3 Americans owns a gun. And overall,
1 in 3? Okay, actually I thought it was more.
this is more. This is a higher percentage than in other countries around the world. Guns and gun violence are certainly controversial issues, to say the least, but Americans' personal feelings about guns really depends on where you live. If you live in a more rural area, having a gun for hunting, for protection, for your lifestyle, this type of thing is more common and it's less scary because people are more comfortable about how they work and how they're used, and they know the people who have a gun.
And also, I think this is true, actually, right? And I think that, for example, if your father, your mother had experience with guns back in the day, and you grew up with that, you may also enjoy having guns and doing all the fun stuff that you guys do with that. Could be hunting, but there is a lot of activities, right?
But if you live in a more urban area, like in the city, guns are associated more with violence and it can be a much more scary thing. So it all depends on your background and where you've grown up, how you feel about guns, and what kind of feeling that brings up for you.
Okay.
So overall, not every American owns a gun, but it is certainly more common here than in other places around the world.
Okay, well, friends, I said this in other videos, but there is always new people watching me. You guys, if you guys are ever trying to find on internet what's the biggest culture shock for Europeans, you don't need to do it. I'm gonna tell you it's against. People may try to say, "Oh, the big gaps when you go to the public toilet." Okay, it's whatever, you know what I mean. But guns, I feel like is the biggest culture shock because Europeans, there is exceptions, but most Europeans never touch one, in their life maybe.
Stereotype number 4, Americans never travel. Well, are we talking about...
This one could be a bit true because you may travel less than Europeans, but this is a very false one in other sense because Texas is bigger than France, So if you go from Texas to California, you are doing me going from Portugal to, I don't know, Russia or something. It's crazy the distance you guys have in America. Maybe not this crazy as I end up saying, but it's actually insane. So every state is a country. If you went to 4 states in your lifetime, in my opinion, you end up traveling to 4 countries. Is this something that you guys understand what I'm trying to say? And America is so diverse that you guys have almost everything there.
International travel? Well, the data says this is true. A lot of Americans don't even have a passport.
But this one makes sense, my friends. I don't know why Americans push this one in this type of videos because I mean, just look at the size. You guys are basically a continent. We say America is a country. It's not. It's a continent. Let's be real. And if you guys get Canada nowadays, oh yeah, even bigger. By the way, is that Canada thing story true? I just saw some news, but I have no idea.
But if we're talking about domestic travel within the US, the answer is false. A lot of Americans travel domestically. I mean, have you seen the size of the US? There are so many places to visit. We often visit family who live in faraway places within the US. And this is just something cultural. I think it's also pretty tricky to travel internationally when you have to cross an ocean to get anywhere. When I lived in Europe, it's just unbelievably easy to cross a border and visit another place. This is so convenient. But when you're in the US,
And if you are in the European Union, you don't even need a passport.
you have to spend a lot of money to get to another country, and we don't have as much overall vacation time from work.
Okay.
So if you only
point.
have a week and you're going to spend so much money to go to another country, well, you might be more likely to just take your family and drive to a local beach and be able to spend a less hectic time and more enjoyable time maybe with your family without having the hassle of international travel. So there's a lot of factors at play here, but overall, Americans don't travel much internationally, but we do travel a lot domestically. Stereotype
For me, that's almost as traveling international because, like I said, it's so big. Look, let's be real. If you go from Montana to Texas, look at this. I mean, come on. Yeah, you are still in the same country, but not really.
Number 5, Americans are materialistic.
This is interesting. I actually gonna say this is true because capitalism works in America, and because of that, you guys tend to buy more stuff. I don't find this a bad thing as long you are still a great person. You know what I mean?
What's the data say about this? Well, it says that this is somewhat false. Let's
Really?
take two different sides of this. Americans, yes, in certain places, especially big cities, can be very obsessed with brands, labels, expensive things. We have a term called keeping up with the Joneses. The last name Jones is one of the most common names in the US. Your last name is Jones. It's very common. So keeping up with the Joneses means that you are
Oh, I'm gonna guess. You are trying to be equal to your neighbors, right?
trying to maintain the same type of high quality, high class lifestyle as the people around you. Maybe your
Okay,
neighbors
yeah.
buy a cool new car, you want to buy a cool new car. You're trying to keep up with the Joneses. But on the other hand, the culture of buying secondhand is huge in the US.
Oh,
I've
really?
lived in a lot of places around the world where it was almost impossible to find a secondhand store that was cheap. It was all expensive, fancy, vintage clothes. But in the US, buying secondhand is extremely common.
Ooh, I love
Almost
that.
all of my clothes are secondhand. It's kind of like a treasure hunt. And this kind of culture of reusing our clothes or being willing to buy something that someone else wore and that's culturally acceptable is also pretty common. So overall, I'd say it's tough to say exactly if Americans are more materialistic than other countries with
To be fair, I did not thought about materialistic in that way. But now kind of makes sense. I thought about materialistic buying, for example, instead of having just one car, having two or three. You know what I mean? Because I think they're maybe a bit more than Europe, but I guess this makes a lot of sense.
the same amount of wealth, but we certainly do like shopping even if it's at a secondhand store. Stereotype number 6, Americans only speak English.
I'm going to say this is false actually, because the amount of people that I know that speak, for example, Spanish in America is actually quite fascinating. I know because of the comment section, but that sometimes I ask this and a lot of people speak Spanish. I believe French also a bit.
What does the data say about this? Well, it says this is false. There are over 350 languages spoken in the US, making
Oh my god, Spanish is by a large margin number 1, Chinese number 2. Chinese, really? What the hell? Okay, wow.
It one of the most linguistically diverse countries
What is Portuguese? Yeah, I guess I will change this in America with my videos, my friends.
around the world. There are over 40 million Spanish speakers and 3 million Chinese, including Mandarin and Cantonese speakers here. Now,
Actually, my friends, this is a really good tip for you. If you know Spanish, you are one step away of learning Portuguese. It's not exactly the same language, but a lot of stuff is similar. It's kind of like if you know English in America, you are one step away of knowing English in Australia. No, this comparison was really bad, but you guys still get my point.
there is a little catch to this. If you grew up in a household that spoke another language, for example, if your parents speak Spanish, you are more likely, of course, to speak Spanish. But if you grew up in a household that spoke only English, the chance of you as an American successfully learning a second language, especially to fluency, is quite low. So while there are a lot of people in the US who speak another language, the amount of people who learn a second language in school or just for fun is quite low. But if you're among the few who has successfully learned a second language, comment, it can really expand your worldview and just add so much fulfillment to your life. Stereotype number 7. Americans are very patriotic.
100% true. If this video says it's false, I'm not even finishing this react. I'm gonna be honest.
What's the data say? Well, it says this is true. There was a poll and it said 41% of Americans think that the US is the best country in the world. If you come to visit the US,
I mean, we are going actually to run that part back. Sorry. Okay, focus, my friends.
life. Stereotype number 7. Americans are very patriotic.
100%
What's
true.
the data say? Well, it says this is true.
Amazing.
There was a poll and it said 41% of Americans think that the US is the best country in the world.
41%? Only 41%? What the hell are the other guys doing? My friends, what? I actually understood more at the start. 41. This is not good. This should be like 90%, honestly.
If you come to visit the US around the 4th of July, you will see American flags everywhere. If you visit any kind of professional sporting event, you will most likely hear everyone in the stadium singing the national anthem before the sporting game. And if you live here and your kids go to a public school, they will say the Pledge of Allegiance, hand over your heart, looking at the flag, the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag every morning before the school day starts. Because I grew up saying the Pledge of Allegiance or singing the national anthem all the time, I thought that these things were normal, and it wasn't until I traveled outside the US that I realized that not every country is like this. So maybe this goes...
Yeah, the other countries are doing it wrong. I mean, this is not even debatable. Being patriotic for your country is what makes America one of the best places in my perspective, because if you really love the place you live, you fight for that place, and when you don't, no, this is amazing. I wish my country was a bit more patriotic.
Back to the majority of Americans not having a passport. They've never experienced it otherwise, so we're just very patriotic. There you have it.
Also, she ended up mixing a very important point. Also, being the number one country in the world kind of helps, you know. I mean, if you are in the position number 25, maybe my country is 25, no, probably is like 50 or something, is a bit more difficult, you know. I mean, even though if you still love it, you love it. But if you are number one, I mean, be proud.
Stereotype number 8. Americans are positive, optimistic, and smile a lot.
True.
Is this true?
100%.
Well, the data says yes.
My friends, this is 9 stereotypes. I feel like I end up being correct in all of them. Let's see the last one, but I know my Americans.
There was actually a really interesting study that showed in countries that have a lot of immigration, like the US,
Okay.
people relied on nonverbal communication, so
Wow, this is a great point because of the language. Sometimes you feel a bit insecure or something, right? Okay.
gestures and facial expressions, more than in countries that didn't have as much immigration. Now, I'm not saying that everyone in the US is always smiling. No, this is just a stereotype, of course. But this study said that people rely on facial expressions and gestures and smiling to build trust with each other more than in countries that are more homogenous. Homogenous means that everyone is from a
Yeah, I know that word.
similar ethnic.
In Portuguese, my friend, since she teaches English, I teach Portuguese. Homogeneous means, in Portuguese, no, not means, translates, this is ruined. I'm going to say it again. This translates to homogéneo. Yeah, try to say it.
Ethnic background. So what about my personal experience with this? I think that for me, yes, I smiled a lot, so maybe I fit into the stereotype. But as for the feeling positive and optimistic side, I think this is a little bit more nuanced. In the US, there is this kind of overall cultural feeling that if you work hard, you can succeed. This idea of a rags to riches story we're often told as kids about famous people who started with nothing and then they invented something really important and then they became the president. There's all of these rags to riches stories. We call this the American dream, that if you work hard, you can succeed. And this
Well, okay, if you work hard, sometimes you don't succeed. I think it's fair to say. But it's still the best path to succeed, you know. Let's say in 10 people that work hard, I believe maybe 7, maybe 8, maybe even 9 will do it in life, you know, will do it in a sense that they achieve something that they want. Of course, there is things that you don't control, and sometimes you work hard and you are very unlucky and bad things keep happening to you, and that's a sad story. But I think Americans saying this is very fair. I mean, if you work hard, I think you will make it.
American dream, that if you work hard, you can succeed. And this is really underlying a feeling of optimism that if I work hard, it is up to me. It is my choice. I am the
But it is
master
most
of
of the
my
time.
own destiny, that I can do it. So there is a feeling that even if I come from a really difficult background or home, I can still succeed. That feeling of optimism, oh, there's a chance that I can do it, is present in American society. So especially considering that the US is a land of immigrants, remember that 350 languages that I talked about? A lot of people come here to find the American dream. They're chasing the American dream that if they work hard, they can succeed. So the feeling of optimism is kind of present. I'm not saying it's present on a daily basis for everyone, but it is pervasive in American culture. Our final stereotype number 9 is
My friends, the last one. My friends, watching until the end with me. Most people don't. That's the truth. Leave me the number 9. Yeah, leave me the number 9 if you are waiting for the stereotype number 9. That way, I know you are a real fan and I'm not a crazy guy in Portugal watching an American video alone. Because if you are with me, my friend, I'm not alone.
Americans are creative, innovative, and think outside the box.
100% true. Just look at all the technology, the tech companies, better saying. I mean, this is, what the hell? This is not, is this a stereotype? This is a straight fact.
What's the data say about this? Well, it says it's pretty true. The light bulb, the telephone, the airplane, the internet, all of these things that have
The McDonald's also, I mean, I think it's important to put here because McDonald's is the biggest fast food restaurant in the world.
revolutionized the world were invented in the US. When you think about new tech inventions, we sometimes think about Silicon Valley in California. This kind of goes along with the last point of the American dream, that if you can dream it, you can make it. What about
another invention? Sorry, I'm getting too excited on this. The A10 Artog. Did you guys know that plane? The one that goes... That's a crazy invention in my opinion.
My personal opinion about this? Well, as far as creativity or innovation, yes, Americans can be those things. I think a lot of people in other countries, of course, can be those things as well. But when it comes to thinking outside the box and accepting others who are different, this kind of is expanding the idea of thinking outside the box. This is something that I really value in the US, that you can be different and you can still be accepted. And even though
Beautiful.
this is not perfectly done across the board, I think that this is a value, especially more in our modern times, that Americans are trying to do more and more. They're trying to accept people who are different, trying to accept different ideas. And overall, of course, we're talking about
I mean, I agree with this. Look, I'm different than a lot of you guys, and I still feel like that you guys accept me. So, and I also, I don't know. I think, honestly, I think humans are kind of simple. If you give respect to other people, they also respect you. And I always, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I always showed respect to America at the highest level. And I think that makes you guys also embrace me a bit more. But some people, and I don't want to be negative here, but some people are just, they criticize everything, oh, well, this, that, blah, blah, blah. I mean, shut up, you know what I mean? If you don't like it, if you have nothing good to say, don't say it.
stereotypes here.
There is exceptions, of course, but most of the time,
This is something that is a value of Americans, that you can be different and you can still be accepted. So what do you think? Do you agree with this assessment of
100%.
American stereotypes? I want to know. Let me know in the comments. What is a stereotype of people from your country? I'd love
I don't know. That we are beautiful, and that's true.
to learn more about the stereotypes, and tell me, do you think it's true or false what people say about people from your country? Don't forget to download the free PDF worksheet for today's lesson so that you can review all of the expressions and concepts and ideas.
Actually, this is very interesting. Oh, friends, thank you so much for watching. This video started a bit shaky because I thought this was going in a different direction, but I actually think she made a tremendous video here. It's one of the best videos I ever saw about the American stereotypes, to be fair, because she ended up actually bringing information that complements the point. Also, of course, there is a lot of her opinion, but I thought overall was pretty great. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching this with me, my friends. Really means a lot. You guys end up staying until the end. See you guys in the next one. Bye.